my name is Jordon from Treadway and Treadway Equipped, and today I want to talk a bit more about what we mentioned in our earlier video, the circle of influence and the circle of concern. Now this theory came about from Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Now I highly recommend reading that book. It's a fantastic book. Now the basics of it is that we have this circle of concern. That's all the things that we're concerned about in our life. Now in most people's lives that's quite a big circle. And then in that we have a smaller circle. Now typically that's a much smaller circle in most people's life, and that's our circle of influence over those concerns. So it's concerns we have that we have influence over. Now the theory is that if you focus on those concerns that you have influence over, you grow that circle. So how do we grow that circle? Because ultimately we want our circle of influence to be as large as we can in our circle of concerns. And highly effective leaders really focus in on what they have influence over. See, so it kind of goes back to a principle that there's two ways we can react to things. We can be proactive or we can be reactive. Now, you can tell it in people's language. See, a lot of reactive people, the kind of language that they use is, oh, I have to do this. Or if only I could do that. I don't have enough time to do this. Where active people, proactive people, their language is, I choose to do this. I prefer to do this. Yes, no. This here is of a higher priority to me, so I'll do this first. That's the kind of language that you hear from a proactive people. And as proactive people, as we focus on our circle of influence, we'll grow this. We'll choose things. It comes from the belief that you have total control over your decisions, your choices. As a person, you have control over your choices. Now that's one of the root founding principles of the circle of influence and circle of concern. You don't have control over all the consequences from your choices, as some of these are made up from social or natural elements that have been around for some time. But you do have control over every choice. For instance, if you go back to when you're young, if you choose to stay home from school, well, you missed out on learning that day. But that you still had control over that choice. See, so this is one of the founding factors. And as you focus in, very heavily focus in on what you have influence over and work on that, focus on that, then your circle of influence will grow. And it'll grow, and it'll grow in your circle of concern. See, what we'll do if we're focused on our circle of influence, we'll be making sure that we're making deposits in the other people's emotional bank accounts, if that makes sense. So we'll be constantly working hard to understand other people, understand relationships with other people better, making sure we're not talking behind people's back, because then they know that you're going to do that about them at some later point when your emotions change. See, we've got to make sure we're founded in solid principles and growing our circle of influence so that people then trust us. We've got to be patient. We've got to keep working. The law of the harvest. You've got to keep working before you see results and take responsibility. People know when they give you feedback. You're going to say, look, I'm sorry, and take it on board and change. And that's growing your circle of influence until finally it becomes bigger because people trust you. They'll work with you. You have more influence over people because of the way you act. And that will grow to a point where you are influencing more of your concerns. And that will make you a much better leader, and you'll have more success and develop your ability to influence others by the example that you set and using proactive language, proactive thinking, and taking control of your choices.